Chubstep.
Jrad.
Creating the oil of
Steed. Chub. Step.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the king of the jungle.
Chubstep in the house. What? Come on, son. You know that's right.
Well, there's a girl at school.
She hot?
And she's super smart.
Hot?
Funny and cool.
Hot?
Yes, she's hot, super hot.
Nice.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And the show started. I'm welcomed by, for the 12th time, Nick, I looked it up. 12th time, Chubstep, Nick, Russo. Welcome.
That's fantastic to hear. We're recording live from somewhere right now. Is that true?
That's right. That's right.
Recording live
as of right now. The last time you were on March of last year, March 9th of last year, so not too far off.
That's
because
right.
we typically have you on
system
to talk the Oscars. It's award season.
It is. America has Academy Award fever right now. No one's talking about anything else.
Bird up.
Steed is going to join at some point, probably. He also has not seen, he said, a single movie in the past year. So
I was going to say, I heard the end of the last episode, or
Yeah.
the one before that, perhaps, when you were setting this up, and it
Yes.
didn't sound good for him.
No, he is, almost nothing to input, like, as far as talking points.
Sure,
he'll have
he's
comments to say.
boycotting. He's doing Oscar so white. That's his problem.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. Exactly. So
I would eat a dog, knowing it was a dog.
I want to talk to you. I've seen the vast majority of the movies up for Best Picture.
Awesome.
So I'm curious your thoughts. Let's go through them. In the past, here's what I'll say. We've talked about this in the past. Most of the time, you're right on what they end up doing. Most of the time, I don't agree with what they end up picking as their favorite of the ones versus. I would say the one I've agreed with the most in the last couple of years is Parasite. That year, I thought that was the best movie and that won Best Picture.
For sure.
Most of the time, I usually differ from the Best Picture versus what I like the most that year.
Same. And for me, I kind of more am interested in who gets nominated, and then once that happens, it's like, okay, they're gonna go any which way with the winners, and it's whatever, it doesn't really mean too much. And I agree with Parasite, and I actually I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I still haven't seen Coda, which was a recent Best Picture winner, which I heard was good, but I haven't seen it.
Fair. I didn't see that either. Yeah, I didn't love Everything Everywhere All at Once. Wasn't.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
same.
Well, didn't love it. Okay, let's go through these. You got
Sure.
them,
And
you got them ready?
before you get started, I just want to make sure I don't let Gwen and Drew down on this, because I know this episode is the one they care about the most every year.
That's true. That's true.
The
That's
Nielsen
true.
ratings can back me up on that, so just trust me. But if you're listening, folks, please take it all with a grain of salt. But I do it for you.
Okay. Okay. You do it for the listeners.
Yes.
More specifically them. Perfect.
So where do you want to start? I guess I'll give you my kind of big picture on how I feel about the nominees, and then you can kind of respond to that, and then
Let's
we can start going through the awards.
Exactly. Yep. That works for me.
So I guess, this year I was looking at the nominees for Best Picture, and I'm pretty pleased with them, honestly. The big theme for me is I like the more international representation they've had, and that Parasite getting nominated and winning reminds me of that, because I think that started it in recent years, a wave of that, going beyond just what was formerly known as Best Foreign Film is now International Feature, whatever. It's going past that. You get Best Picture nominees, you get directors, you get actors and actresses. So looking at the nominees, big fan of Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, and then I recently caught up with Zone of Interest, which was really good and interesting. Of those three, I love Past Lives, the Korean film.
Okay.
But Anatomy of a Fall, that's a French legal thriller, or not thriller, but drama. Past Lives is a Korean romance. Zone of Interest is British, but taking place in Poland and Germany in World War II. Last year I think they had All Quiet on the Western Front, the German film, the recreation. of the previous English and German films. So those, I'm excited to see those up for awards, and we'll get into like directors and actors and that stuff later, but those movies are pretty well represented.
So those are kind of the international ones that are up for Best Picture.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see the Zone of Interest. I just haven't seen it yet. I was trying to find it in a place for free, but it just wasn't free.
Yeah, and it came out really late too. Some of the
Yeah.
It's happening more and more, and I think the problem is the Oscars are freaking in March, for the 2023
Yes.
movies. But some of the 2023 movies don't come out in wide release until February, early March even.
Exactly.
So they're not helping us.
But my Anatomy of a Fall, I liked the acting. I hated the ending.
Mhm.
I did not like the
Yeah.
ending, and I don't. It's hard to talk about it without really spoiling anything.
For sure.
But I saw one of the notes in from the director as how he told the main actress to act.
Oh, she
And
actually Justine Triet.
that's her name?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, she was and I liked, the concept. I kind of like a whodunit type of film.
for
There
sure.
was a note from the director to her which just bothered me even more. When it's hard to really, this is a bad me talking about it. It's a bad descriptor just because I can't really say it without kind of
For
ruining
sure.
the movie. But yeah, my problem was really just with the ending. I like more clarity on things.
Mhm.
Which I understand, like sometimes you can leave stuff open for discussion or things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
sometimes you
that
just
was a good. It was not one of my favorites. I got to see a lot of 2023 releases. I don't think as many as Lil Stevie. Shout out Lil Stevie.
Yeah.
He posted his top 2023 releases on Letterboxd,
yeah.
and he's seen a bunch. But I saw many, and Anatomy of the Fall is kind of like top 15 for me,
Mhm.
as well as like Zone of Interest, maybe number 10-ish. I was looking at my list the other
Yeah.
day. Anatomy of the Fall, we'll talk about actresses later, but yeah, the lead performance from Sandra Hüller, the German actress in a French film, was very, very good, I thought. And I made a note. I hope you at some point can find the P.I.M.P cover to play as a drop in
Oh
this
my
episode, because
God,
that
hilarious.
was just permeates throughout the entire movie.
The
And it was
whole
just
movie.
so good.
Yes, the whole movie just plays, P.I.M.P, like just an instrumental basically.
Yeah, I think it's in the movie. It's a cover by the husband character because he's a musician.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good
And
stuff.
it's very, they blast it heavy on the kettle drums. And it's very, very funny. Also, that little kid is a very good actor. He plays a blind kid. Very good actor.
100%.
Yeah, he was
Good
really
dog acting in it. Yeah.
The dog. Yeah, you're right. You know what? People want to talk about that, but good dog actor. Not since Air Bud have we seen such a great performance.
Not since Air Bud, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so those are three. So I guess I'll just run through the other nominees. American Fiction,
I didn't see that one.
Okay. And then you saw Barbie and like that one, I
Yep.
think.
I like Barbie.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. The Holdovers, that's one of my top like five, top six
Yeah.
of the year. I
Yep.
really love that
Agreed.
movie.
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon, very good, but honestly for me was kind of mid Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are saying mid these days, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
slap
No,
that
it's very
label on it. I liked it, but it
Yeah,
was
that's
just,
good.
it was one of my favorites of his.
Yeah, it depends on if you're comparing it to other movies of his. Yeah, I would say, yeah, if that's how you're doing the comparison. In general, the movies this year, I did enjoy it. What I will say for that one, for how long it was, it kept me entertained, which is hard to do
Agreed.
for a movie that's that long. Like, it didn't feel like
Did you
I
see
was
it at home or in the theaters?
I saw it at home too.
Oh, that's even more high praise for it because
Yes,
it's easier to be distracted
for
at home.
sure. We'll get into that a little more. We'll do a little mini Brendan Fraser movie review, but because Brendan
Yes,
Fraser's
okay.
in that.
I
Yeah.
like that. So, okay, and then Oppenheimer, that
Mhm.
might be my favorite of the bunch, honestly.
Mhm.
I know you're a historical nonfiction kind of guy, so I'd be
Yeah.
curious on your thoughts on that one too.
Yeah. So of these four, I would say probably The Holdovers was my favorite. I'm just kind of a sucker for a Christmas film, and I like kind of Christmas films
Yep.
that aren't so overtly Christmas.
Yeah, it's like
like
the backdrop of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I like this one a lot, and good acting, good storyline, kind of a good. It was a good movie.
Yeah. Totally. It's like a 70s throwback, including
Yes.
how it was like shot and directed.
Kind of reminds me of the Feast of Seven Fishes movie that I've talked about a few times on the show.
I did. We watched that upon your recommendation around Christmas time, or is it Thanksgiving? I forget.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a
But
bad Italian. So.
similar to that, where it's kind of, throwback set in a further back time, and a story around Christmas, but not necessarily about Christmas.
Mhm.
And Paul Giamatti, he was good. I would say better than he was in Agent Cody Banks.
I was wondering if you're going to say that or Big Fat Liar too.
Oh, wait, was that I'm thinking? Maybe I'm thinking of Big Fat Liar.
No, I think he's in both. Honestly,
it's him when he's blue. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, that's Big Fat Liar.
Yeah, that is Big Fat Liar. Okay, I get both. Okay, same.
We can do a
That's on
deep
me.
dive
That's
on
on me. That
that
shows
at
my
some point
ignorance.
too. That's fine.
So, Holdover's great. Oppenheimer I liked a lot. I just liked Holdovers a little better. I would say that's kind of like a 1A type of thing.
Yeah.
I know, it's a very interesting, just like it kind of just shows the kind of multiple extremes of like, hey, he's excited that we got this project done, but also like, well, what does this mean for the world?
Yeah,
From here on
yeah,
out,
like the
which is
whole last hour is kind of is post dropping the bombs on
Yeah.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the fallout and what that means for the 20th century after that. So I thought it was really interesting and it turned into a courtroom drama, and Robert
Yes.
Downey Jr. was really good. He's been getting a lot of praise for his role.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then okay, so then there's Poor Things as well, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie, which I really like that Greek director and a lot of his other movies. And this one I thought was fine, but not like a top tier movie for me. It's
This
really
one looked
weird.
too weird based on the trailer. I skipped it.
It
It just
was.
looked like too much. It looked like too much for me.
Yeah. It was a lot. Emma Stone was fantastic in it. I don't think she'll win the Oscar because we'll talk about some of those candidates, and she's already won one for La La Land, I think, and sometimes that happens.
Okay.
Mark Ruffalo, though, shout out Kenosha, Wisconsin resident Mark Ruffalo. He was fantastic in it.
He doesn't still live there. He's from there.
No, I don't think so. He
I
could
was
be
gonna
there
say,
right
no
now.
chance he still has a house there, right? Anyway,
So then
okay. Well, real quick,
the last one is Maestro, and I haven't
Maestro.
seen it.
Yeah,
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Maestro?
Haven't seen it. That's why I wanted to quickly
Oh, I
mention.
thought you were planning on seeing it.
I was trying to, and then I
Okay.
kind of figured, you know what? There's one movie, one Best Picture nominee every year, I think, that has a mostly bad reputation, and it's not that I don't see it because of that, but I deprioritize it because of that.
Sure.
I just watch other things, and I get lazy.
Yeah, I was actually texting back and forth with little Stevie about Maestro, and I I think the way he described it was it's a biopic where I learned nothing about the person at the end of it.
Okay. Yeah, I heard
which-
Bradley Cooper does an impersonation to the extreme rather than like acting in it, which
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, so I can't really critique it. But
it's fair because I don't really know what the guy was initially like. I actually
Same.
thought the acting, like as far as because I didn't know what he was like, so I thought the acting was actually pretty decent. But to me, it was just boring. I just could not get into it. I just was like, what is the point of this story? Like I was like, where is this going? This is way too long. This would have been a better 30-minute short film than a full-length movie. And again, it's just maybe part of it if I was into the symphony
subject matter.
Maybe that's a different scenario. And I grew up in New York and knew this guy forever. That's maybe a very different thing to see his life. But I feel like most of those biopics that they do that are big are typically on, when you're talking about Elvis last year, right? Or things like that. Like those are big name. Everybody knows the person.
Yeah.
This is not a guy that I knew existed before this movie. And I don't know. It just wasn't. That was definitely my least favorite of the ones that I saw.
Okay, you're on record as anti-symphony. I get it.
I am anti-symphony. Would I go? I would go. I just haven't gone.
I love New York! Nobody cares!
Barbie, I thought was about as good as you could make a Barbie movie.
I think so too, honestly. Yeah. Highly entertaining, and this one, Barbie this year, Oppenheimer a little bit to an extent. Top Gun Maverick last year, you're getting a bit more crowd pleasers and critically well-received movies. Those are married together and being nominated. So So I think it bodes well. And I guess with Barbie, if you followed any of that when the nominations came out, there was a bit of a controversy because people were getting up in arms about some of the lack of nominations, such as Greta Gerwig, director, was snubbed, Margot Robbie, best lead actress as well. And I don't know if you have a take on that, but I can expand on that.
Well, you expand first, and then I'll say my piece.
So I mean, I understand where it's coming from, but got tons of nominations.
Yeah.
The big thing, I would say, Gerwig was more of a deserving snub because she directed the hell out of that movie. It's so unique and it's like her vision. But the counterpoint is that Best Director is a very competitive category. If you look at some of those names, not even the powerhouse names like Scorsese and Nolan, but like there's newcomers, there's very well respected movies. Every year it's going to be hard to fit in there. They don't put 10 nominations in there like some of the acting categories. And then for Best Actress, yeah, Margot Robbie was very good, but I would argue there are better actresses in movies this year. It's one of those things. And then as far as, the potential misogynist or sexist angle, hard to kind of find any merit in that other than somebody looking for it, to be honest. Because you have one woman nominated for Best Director, Justine Triet. Barbie is kind of had a ton of nominations. You had Past Lives, directed by a woman who didn't get Best Director, but she's up for the movie's up for Best Picture and Writing. And the big part too, Margot Robbie was nominated as a producer because she produced Barbie, and I was reading a little bit about that, and she takes that very seriously. And some people, and in the film industry, Jrad, how much is involved with production. That could be more rewarding of a nomination and an award than an acting category, depending on who you ask.
For sure, I do have background acting credits.
That's right,
which I take very seriously. But I will say the producing side, depending on, I mean, to be fair, her role in the movie is the main role. She was the lead actress. Without her, that doesn't work at all.
Yep.
And but obviously producing is like one of the most generic terms in film, where it can mean the person is heavily involved and got this thing finished, from start to finish, or it can mean like they, if they're executive producer, a lot of times they just added some money to the project, or minimal additions.
I know sometimes. For her, she's been doing that more and more. So it is a big part of her career in Hollywood. So, but I've heard what you're referring to. Some people just get that slapped on there, especially executive producer, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I will say that I think the reason, to me, it's with the whole Barbie thing and her not getting nominated for Best Actress. To me, it's because didn't Ryan Gosling got nominated for Best Actor, right?
He did. Yeah, people are trying to play that up. I understand it.
Yeah, I get the logic behind it, because they're saying that the movie is about like women empowerment and things like that, and then the guy is the one that gets nominated from the movie,
right? And it's also not lost on me that we are two men discussing this right now by ourselves. So don't trust me, I understand that. But no, I mean, you can compliment Gosling's nomination just on its own in a vacuum, just because I think it's really cool that someone else in the Milwaukee film community that I'm in said this, and so I'm just going to steal it. But he gave an exceptional comedic performance, and that doesn't get really rewarded often in critical circles, and it's very hard to do at a sustained level throughout an entire movie that is not just a comedy. It's a comedy drama. So I think that's historically been underappreciated, and I think he nailed it throughout.
For sure. And like, speaking of comedies and things like that, Paul Giamatti, Big Fat Liar, also a great performance, but he didn't get nominated.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. It goes back to that point. That was a turning point in the Academy history.
Yeah, 2002 with Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got on that. Perfect. I think it was a good movie. That's all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to talk real quick about the Killers of Flower Moon. Quick Brendan Fraser movie review.
About 20 years ago, back in the last century, I went to actor school, actually. That's back when I was allowed to work with animals. specifically when these experiences are always brought into everyone's home. Why do I smell of fish?
Well, these are the Yum Yum sweats.
Aha, she's toying with me.
I don't know.
They think I shaved their butts. I look like a big old steak with legs.
Which I haven't done in a long time because Brendan Fraser just hasn't been in as many movies.
That's amazing, yeah.
They were at the, I talked about the Chubstep bump. Both, I watched some of the SAG Awards. Both Brendan Fraser and Jeff Goldblum were there. Brendan Fraser
This
presented
most recent
the award. What's that?
This most recent SAG?
Yeah, the most recent SAG Awards. Yeah. I think they both presented. They were both up on stage at one point. But Brendan Fraser, yeah, introduced the best actor because he won it last year. They a lot of times do that. Like the person last year nominates the people this year, or reads it off. But Killers of the Flower Moon, it's an interesting story. Again, this is kind of I like these stories a lot too because it's historical. It's not historical fiction because it's a real story, but there's parts of it that are based on a true story. I guess is a better scenario for it.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I recommend it. By David Gran.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a book. There you go.
Yeah, it's a story. It's like the book is the same structure where it's nonfiction. It's been a few years, many years actually since I read it, but I know that the book focused a lot more on the FBI because that kind of case was the launching point for it becoming what it is from J. Edgar Hoover. And that in the movie, for those who have seen it, that's kind of like the end of it. And it's
that actually was not clear at all that was like a jumping off point or like it was a very rushed at the end of that part of it.
Yeah, clearly Mr. Marty, he wasn't playing up that angle. He was more interested in the lives of the Osage and the community.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah. It did a good job of kind of keeping you guessing and like it did a good job. It was kind of a good mystery type of thing as it goes on. It kind of builds a lot of suspense and stuff like that. Leo's interesting, not good looking in the movie. They made him
and a dumb guy.
Yeah, dumb, not a typical like Leonardo DiCaprio character for him. So it was interesting. Brendan Fraser's in it very little at the end. Kind of
little, but it packs a punch in terms of what he brings to the movie, and it I think it was not controversial in the normal sense of the word, but polarizing, I would say. But the way he comes into the movie, because it's pretty an entertaining character. Yeah, it's a loud performance in kind of a serious drama. But I thought he nailed it. He was playing. Once you see what he's doing, he's that type of lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Yes, kind of a Weasley lawyer trying to do whatever he can to get, even if he knows his client's wrong, he's gonna do whatever he can to get his point across or still win the case. Yep. There was a great cameo by Jack White. I don't know if you saw that.
That's right. I didn't know it at the time.
I didn't know it at the time, but I looked IMDb after and I saw Jack White's in the movie. I had to rewatch that scene. He's like
one of maybe three musicians, two other ones who I'm a big fan of. Jason Isbell, the Americana kind of alt country singer, had an actually pretty big role. He was one of the husbands of the Indigenous women. So he was involved with Leo a lot in the movie. And then Sturgill Simpson, another kind of guy in the same genre, was one of the redneck guys who gets recruited to do some things that I can't really talk about.
That's right. Cool. Yeah. So overall, top tier Brendan Fraser movie for me. As far as it's a very watched movie. It's a good.
We're using that. Yep. We're using that scale.
Everyone tiered.
I agree.
Brendan Fraser on the Encino Man scale, top tier.
I was gonna say
I haven't done that in a long time, but yeah, I had to remember what the scale was. Encino Man scale.
I missed that scale.
Top tier. Yeah, top tier.
I like milk.
What do you think is actually going to win?
Will win. I am leaning Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Because the Academy likes based on true stories. They like quote unquote important movies, serious movies. But that was also, like we were talking about, it reached a lot of people and had mass appeal. It will please many people if it wins. Holdovers I think could win, but it's kind of a smaller movie in terms of what it's about, and even people who have seen it I think is a lot smaller group. I don't think Killers of the Flower Moon wins. Can't really explain why. I just don't think it does. Barbie
Mhm.
could win. That would be a dark horse sleeper candidate.
For sure. Yeah, I will say in the holdovers, I'm pretty sure that the lady that is the cook in the holdovers.
I've seen her in this TV show High Fidelity with Zoe Kravitz. That's the first
Okay.
time I saw her. She's basically a shoe-in to win Best Supporting Actress, by
Well,
the
she
way,
won
because
at
she's
the
so,
SAG at the SAG
yeah,
Awards.
she's winning kind of everywhere, and I would love it if she wins this. While we're talking the
Yeah.
women, I think Lily Gladstone is maybe a shoe-in for Best Actress in Killers of the Flower Moon. I thought it was an outstanding performance where
Yeah.
it's she doesn't get a ton of lines and she's not in a lot of scenes, but she makes the most out of every scene she's in, and it's like
For
a
sure.
painful performance.
For sure. And what I will say is that I thought her voice, I didn't realize her voice was actually like that. I thought she was doing like a voice for that for the movie, but she kind of just talks kind of monotone.
Yes. Yes.
But she did, yeah, great acting in the thing. You get like, especially when she's like kind of sick and stuff, and like there's a lot of parts where I'm just like, this is intense. I mean, a lot of the stuff came from her, like all the intensity of the movie came from her.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a tough performance. I mentioned Sandra Hüller from Anatomy of a Fall. It'd be cool if she wins. I don't have anything to say about Carey Mulligan in her role or Annette Bening. And then Emma Stone, I think, is deserving of winning. I just don't think she will.
Yeah.
How about what do you think on the men's side of best actor? Let's go with, you thinking Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer or Paul Giamatti in Holdovers?
I think that Cillian Murphy plays, I feel like without him in that movie, it's all the intensity comes from him in the movie. Paul Giamatti,
yeah, his eyes do it all.
Well, Paul Giamatti's eyes, Holdovers,
oh, true.
is also a separate
true.
thing.
That's
Those are all over the
plot
place.
point.
He's got a lazy eye in the movie for people who haven't seen it. Yeah, Oppenheimer, I feel like the whole story is about him. He is the story. Where like the supporting actors, it's like he's like up here and everybody else is kind of at the same level below. Where like Holdovers, you've got a few different main characters that are all kind of like, you need each one of them. Without Oppenheimer, it's over. So I think, yeah, Cillian Murphy that would be my choice to win it.
I think so too. For me, it's a coin flip on who I think will win. But I'm going to lean Murphy.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Tommy?
Something shit's going. That's not you.
Supporting male actor. Is that the next one?
Yeah. I think Downey Jr. I mentioned gives a really good performance, and the Oscars kind of like when a guy against type in a role that he's not normally used to, and I think he does a good job in it. I would love though if Ryan Gosling wins for Barbie. I think
that would be funny. Because he typically also doesn't play a funny role. I mean, he did that the one with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, true. That's like
funny.
the most other well-known comedy role he's in, and he was great in it. I'm sure Gerwig saw that and took note of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so who do you think is going to win that, though? You think it's going to be?
I'd say Robert Downey Jr. or the sleeper kind of out of nowhere would be Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us in American Fiction, which was a good movie, absolutely good movie, just not just like Anatomy of Fall. It's not one of my tops of last year. But I think he has a really interesting role in that. So I could see him coming out of nowhere kind of and winning. I don't know if he's won yet on this award circuit, but this one's kind of wide open for me.
Gotcha. I hope they mix it up. I sometimes what award shows do for me is get too fixated on one, like they really fall in love with like one movie and then that movie wins like everything. One example, this is not Oscar related, but this is the SAG Awards, and I was talking about this the other time. One of the things that bothered me the most about this, and again, I messaged a little Stevie about this, is they put you could tell they were obsessed with two shows, actually really three shows. Everybody that whoever did the voting, they were obsessed with
and this is the Emmys.
Well, this is SAG Awards. Emmys did the exact same thing. I would say actually Emmys did the exact same thing. They were obsessed with Succession, The Bear, and Beef.
Yes.
I thought all those shows I think are very good.
Same.
But Succession and The Bear are both drama series. They put The Bear as a comedy series. That is not a funny show. Like there are a few funny moments in that show, but it is by no means a comedy.
Right. That's like gaming the category.
Yes.
You mentioned the SAGs, but like every year with the Emmys, it's always like 2-3 shows that clean house.
For sure.
More so
for
than
sure.
the Oscars.
Exactly.
It's
and that's why I'm just hoping it doesn't do that this time. But it really bothered me that like, yeah, Succession won literally basically every single drama series award. Succession won that, which I'm not saying it's not deserving of it. But then The Bear won every single comedy award. And I'm like, we're talking about Jury Duty, and like James Marsden was way funnier in Jury Duty as like best supporting actor than like who they had win from I think the cousin from The Bear. Like coming from The Bear is a great actor, but not funny.
100% a dramatic. He was funny, but it's a dramatic role.
For sure, dramatic role
in that show.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, jump scare.
And then they had Beef just won every like short miniseries thing, which I thought Beef was good, but I feel like they just get obsessed and they're just like, you win every single award. And then it kind of, to me, it takes away from some of these other good shows and stuff like that. So I don't want that. And you're right. I think the Oscars does a better job of not doing that. So I just hope they don't like, if Oppenheimer wins one thing, I hope it's not just every single thing, the best actor, best supporting, all that kind of stuff. So I hope it mixes it up based on, but again, it's not like it's not deserving of it. It just, I hope there's a little variety.
Agreed. One place that the Oscars do tend to have them sweep is the technical categories. You'll get like best film editing, sound mixing, sound editing. It's all Dune or it's all Top Gun Maverick, or which it could be this year it might be Oppenheimer because Christopher Nolan is legendary for those kind of aspects of movies, like with Dunkirk. So we'll see what it ends up being this year, but that's one area where it's like, okay, let the pros win.
Yes. Yeah. Did you have a movie that wasn't nominated for anything that you really enjoyed this year?
I'm glad you asked, sir. I had a couple smaller ones that I would not expect to be nominated, but were two of my top favorites were A Fire, which is like a small German drama.
Okay.
And then How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which is like a little political thriller. Yeah, it was really good. I caught it at the Milwaukee Film Festival.
Nice.
It was a sleeper hit at some festivals. But it was one of those early of the year movies that just didn't get much attention later on, like Wes Anderson's Asteroid City this year.
Okay.
So those two, but of the kind of bigger movies, I would say The Iron Claw, which fell victim to coming out late, and then it apparently had a botched Oscars campaign, which I only read about. I don't know the details, but that's the wrestling story, the real life story about the Von Erich family in pro wrestling in like the 70s and 80s, who saw endless tragedy. Great sports movie, but also a good family drama with many, many surprises.
Okay.
So I recommend everybody see that one when it comes out on streaming, because I don't know if it's in theaters anymore.
Well, so Napoleon was 2023. Did not get nominated for anything?
I don't think it did, honestly. Which I saw that too. It was all right.
Is he not up for best? He's not up for best actor?
He's not, which is surprising, just because they love Joaquin Phoenix, as they should. He's great and everything.
Yeah,
but I am surprised he's not nominated.
Yeah, I would have thought he was like. I thought some of that movie, it was a little long. It wasn't like, I don't think it was a perfect movie by any means. It wasn't up to the level of some of the other kind of big figures in history that we've seen movies about. But I thought for sure, I mean, if anything, I thought I would have put him actually as best actor over some of the other guys, just because that movie just completely revolves around him. I mean,
best
is
letters,
it a pretty?
at least?
Is it what? What's
best
that?
letters that he wrote home?
For
That
sure,
should be a category.
Wild stuff like that. And to be fair, is it pretty similar to every role he's ever played? Yes. I mean, like, it's like basically the role was like made for him. But I don't think that takes away much from. He should at least get a nomination. I thought that was one I would have added. One movie that I had no expectations for that I ended up enjoying was Good Burger 2, which is not a good movie. It's the lowest brow of comedy. But I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was laughing throughout it. And maybe it's just because it was mostly because I loved Good Burger 1 so much growing up, and I also went in with zero expectations. So now that you've heard one person say one decent thing about it, now you're going to hate the movie. I will say that. But I was laughing in it way more than I thought I was going to. It's not a good
There's
movie,
something to
but
be said about having expectations in check
for
going to
sure,
see these movies,
for
especially the
sure.
ones that already have a reputation.
Yes,
You know, if you go in blind, that usually helps.
it's always better to go into any movie blind.
I know some of these words.
Completely blind.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Worst movie you
Well,
saw
we
this
are
year,
pleased. Worst movie, Saltburn, which I don't know if you saw. I know Elle saw because she
I did not see
logged it
it
on Letterboxd. I don't even
did not
remember
see it.
if she liked it or not. I think she did.
No.
It was very entertaining. So it's not like worst movie that pissed me off. I just thought it was so dumb and bad. Just like everything was there to kind of enrage the viewer,
Okay.
just like offend, kind of
Yes.
just like let's show you the most craziest things and visually quote unquote offensive things without having a kind of a reason for it or a very elementary purpose. But what should we call it? Jacob Elordi, who's blowing up from Euphoria, and Barry Keoghan, who's really good in some other movies. They were both in it and were really good. Rosamund Pike, really good in it as the mom. It's got a good cast and well made. The director of Promising Young Woman, I think her name is Emerald Fennell. She made Saltburn.
Okay.
But it was structurally and how it gets wrapped up in the end, which to your point you didn't like. In I don't remember what movie that
Anatomy
was.
of Fall.
Anatomy of Fall, yeah, that kind of ruined it, soured it for me because I was
Yeah.
maybe like a 3-star kind of guy, just like, all right, this was good, interesting, weird. But then at the end, I was like, no way, man.
Yeah,
I
for
have to
sure.
go on Chubstep and talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, like, I saw that he's the main guy was in like hosted SNL a few weeks ago. Not a good.
Yeah.
I didn't think he did a great job. Like I
Oh, really?
don't think he did a great job. The worst one I saw this year, About My Father, which was with Sebastian Maniscalco and
Oh no,
Robert De Niro. Did you see that movie?
no, I didn't. I saw the picture of the movie poster and was like, no.
I watched it on the plane because I was
Yep, that's a
out
plane
of
movie
options.
for sure.
Yeah. I had a hard time getting through the whole thing. And I love Sebastian Maniscalco. I've seen him a couple times do stand up. Even like it was a small club in Arlington or in Rosemont in the suburbs of Chicago.
That's right.
I saw him one time there. But like this movie is it's like they took scripts from like 3 other movies that are about the exact same thing and literally just like copied and pasted it over.
Or put it through Chat GPT.
It literally was like ChatGPT wrote a comedy about a dad or a son and his. It was like a bad knockoff of Meet the Parents.
Meet the Italians.
Similar, yes. It was just brutal. I don't know. I don't know. I just was not a fan of it.
I mean, that says a lot if you're a big Maniscalco fan. And
that's the thing.
Your reaction.
And maybe that's the expectations part of it, where I went in with high expectations. Nick, are there any last things that you want to say?
Yeah,
related or anything related.
I hate to step on the homie little Stevie's toes and talk some TV, but
yeah.
I know you're interested in that Shogun series on FX. Have you started?
Yeah, I just started watching it. Is
it good? Because I haven't yet.
It is. I did not realize that basically the whole thing is going to be in subtitles. I mean, the vast majority of it. Well, I didn't expect that. I just didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have either, especially for an FX drama.
Yeah, so there is some English guys that are. It starts off based on the English guys land in Japan, and so they're speaking English, but all the Japanese people are speaking Japanese. Okay. So maybe further down the line, maybe the English people are more introduced or things like that. I know it's based on a book. I've not read it, but
yeah,
at least the first episode. It's a unique kind of storyline and stuff like that. I'm curious to see where it goes. I've only seen an episode, so it's hard to judge a show on one episode. But 90%
nice
subtitles.
Yeah, it's getting some good praise, and it's on my list for sure. I know you had wanted to see it, so I was curious on how it was so far.
Yeah, so far good. But again, it's hard to base something on one episode.
Yeah, especially a new series. It takes so many episodes to get on its wavelength.
And to your point where you can talk about endings can ruin a movie, you can have the last couple episodes of the season or one bad season ruin a whole series for you.
Oh yeah, it's even more like pronounced because these are full season arcs that come to a close that you invested so much time in.
Yes. Yeah. So I it is very hard to get everything right when you enjoy a movie. That's why I think any of these ones that are nominated, it's always impressive because I just know, how many movies are nominated here? Like 10 or so movies get nominated.
I think so, 9 or 10.
There was, I'm sure, 1,000 something movies that were made this past year, right? And so many of those, the vast majority of those, you're never going to ever hear about because so many movies are just brutal, can't even finish them. And then the ones that are decent, there's still some that are good that never get picked up, and there are some that great that people forget about. Like, it's so hard to be in that top tier of movies, and so it is just impressive. Even if you don't agree with what ends up getting voted as the best one, just those movies, like, just even get to that spot, that we're at a spot where we can judge these movies based on that. It's impressive that they even get there.
Totally. I could not have said that better myself, and that is a perfect culmination to Oscar talk.
Nice. Well, thank you, Nick. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Have I sent you, Nick, actually, real quick, have we ever sent you a Chubstep goodie bag?
Haven't got one yet.
On the show? Okay, so we'll send you one. Rosalie got one. If Rosalie got one, you deserve one as well for the amount of times you've been on the show.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So we'll send you a nice little Chubstep 12 Timers Club.
And then do you need to know my sign? Does that determine what's in my...
It wouldn't hurt if you mind telling me your sign.
Gemini.
Okay.
One of those.
And then social, then we're good.
Social, okay.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Steve did not join. He has not just been sitting here and been silent.
I'm sorry, Papa, but I will be putting one in my butt.
So
right,
he didn't make it.
That's it. That's it for Steve.
Yeah, that's it for Steve. So
he's been replaced.
He's been replaced by Nick, at least this week. And the show, Nick, do you want people to check you on Letterboxd? Because that's where we do post a lot of our stuff.
Yeah. Please follow me on Letterboxd. I'm MU Nation 2. I'm wearing a cowboy hat in a Park City outerwear store in my picture.
Nice.
And yeah, I like to post movies. I saw Dune last night, 4.5 out of 5, baby.
Nice. I'm planning on seeing it this week.
Yeah, it's good.
For those that don't know what it is, it's an app where you basically rate movies, and you can follow other people and see what they write movies and stuff like that.
You can make it as social or as you want, or as little as you want. I just like to follow some critics and friends and get a pulse on what every new movie, what kind of reception it's getting, and then I like to make lists too because I'm an organized freak. Yes. So I'll do like my favorites by this director or my favorites from last year.
Cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say it is one of those things where me and Nick often disagree sometimes on our thoughts on movies, but sometimes it's just cool to see what other people think.
That's it.
Because everybody's got their own rationale for it. So
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you. The show has ended. Be gone.
Now you know you got to go.
Peace. This is Yasin.